Hello, it's Amy from Amy Parker Art, and I teach you how to make money with your art. I am so excited today. I am here with my friend Jamie, and we are going to talk art and business and have tons of fun. So, Jamie, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Amy. It's so fun to chat with my creative friends. So I'm just like so excited to be able to talk about creative things. So
Awesome.
I started my business. It's called Creations of Studio 39 2 years ago in January, right before the world kind of shut down. And I was planning to have in-person paint parties, and I thought that was going to be my business model. And then things changed, and I had to pivot and I started doing live videos because that was my way to connect with people. And really, my whole business is around my little tagline that I came up with, and it is where community plus inspiration sparks. Where community plus, I don't even know my own tagline. Where community plus inspiration sparks creativity. There we go.
That's beautiful. I love how
Because
you say that.
yeah, that's how I feel like it takes the community of people that you're around plus the inspiration to really spark that creativity. So everything that I kind of do talk about on my live videos and everything that falls underneath my business is about that. It's about the community, about where do we get our ideas and find inspiration. And then that's what sparks everything that you do that's creative.
Yeah. I know within my own membership, where I teach artists how to market their paintings, my members, that's like the first thing that they say when I'm like, why do you love Creative Warriors so much? And they do talk about that, the connection, the community,
Yes.
being, helping each other. So it's good that you brought that up. I think that's a good point.
Anything that I do, the community is one of the main components of it because we need to be around other creative people. I know that I needed that. I didn't really have that in my life before I started my business, and it just makes a difference because we can help each other, we can encourage each other, and we can push each other a little bit too. And yeah.
I think that's a key word right there too, because I think in business, I know for me anyway, sometimes trying to do all the things and like there's always another thing that you still could do, before you're done work. So sometimes it's hard to be creative every day. And that's something that we do need to remember, especially if we're artists, we're working online. Like, yes, it is a lot of behind the scenes work, but if we are not creating and doing our craft, how the heck are we going to have anything to show the world or to share with the world, right? There was somebody had said something in my free group a while back. It was at the beginning of the year, and I asked what the goals were that everybody had, and she said to create every day, even if it was on a napkin. And
Wow.
I think I had mentioned this in one of my other recent videos as well, but I said I'm going to adopt that because really it is important, and it's so easy to just let it kind of fall by the wayside. It's sort of like riding a bike, like you get back used to it, but if you're not like working that creative muscle like daily, it's like kind of like push yourself to get back in. But I'm on vacay still, but I brought this small sketch pad with me, and I've got my pen, my pencils, and watercolor, which is not really my specialty medium, but I've been messing around with it. But it's been fun to carry this around. And I remember what she had said, and I'm like, I'm always going to have something in my purse or whatever so that I can keep creating. And I know, Jamie, you do gorgeous, fun, and amazing because I'm in your stuff and I see you all the time. Can you tell everyone what your specialty is and show us a little bit about what you do creatively?
Yeah. So when I did transition to doing my live videos, because that was the only way I could connect with people, I knew since I hadn't been creative consistently, that was exactly what I kind of set out to do too, was to every single day do something creative. And an easy way for me to be able to do that, instead of a 16 by 20 painting or a drawing or, was to do a journal. And I always carried a journal of some kind around with me. And I tended to like the ones that didn't have the lines, so I could draw or sketch. But a lot of times I was actually journaling, or I was just doing little doodles or making my to-do list, or like I just carried it around with me everywhere. And so I always had that with me. So it was kind of a natural transition that I would just take that journal and now start doing something creative more consistently in it. And I was doing these videos, and I kind of, about the end of April that year, so it's been almost 2 years, I came up with this idea to start a membership where I would teach other people how to go through this art journal and kind of create every day, and kind of develop their own habit kind of while I was doing it too. So I've had my membership for about 2 years now. It's called the Start Journal Club. And it was just this idea of creating every day. And pretty consistently for months and months, I did a journal page. So I've got journals like in my bookcase and like all over my studio here, just of all of these different journals. And now it's kind of gotten to the place where I don't have to create every single day. And like you said, it's because I've built up the kind of that creative muscle now. I don't have that need necessarily like I did before, and now there's a little bit more momentum with it. And, there might be some weeks where I create a journal page 4 out of the 7 days, or something like that. And I don't feel like I'm behind, or that I haven't done what I set out to do, because I'm just kind of at a different stage than I was when I first started. So.
And that's a wonderful feeling, to feel like you're not under pressure.
Yes.
I went through, I still once in a great while will take on like a commission or something, but I tell my members, you don't have to take orders, or you don't have to do commissions if you don't want to. This is your creative journey. And I sold portrait drawings like crazy for a long time. But really my love is acrylic painting. And I wanted to, and I did do, quite a few commissions with that as well. But it's like I wanted to create what I felt inside and what I loved.
Yeah, rather than a commission.
So I never thought, in a million years, because I'm fairly new to online business as well. I started in 2018 selling my acrylic paintings online, and grew a huge collector base in a short period of time, where I was very fortunate to be able, not a millionaire, I'm not making tons of money, but I'm not a starving artist. I made enough to pay mortgage and bills every single month. And it's like, oh my gosh. And this was with, something that I love to do.
Right.
And so I'm so happy to have you on today, because, even art journaling it's artistic, but it's a different form of art. So, you could draw, you could paint, you could do art journaling, you could sculpt.
And that's what I needed, to kind of have that freedom to be able to use all of those different materials, than to stay confined with just one thing, since I hadn't been creating in a long time. Right.
Jamie, show us a little bit about what you create. Would love to see it. I know my people are probably like, let's just see your stuff.
And I have a lot of different ones. So I only brought this one over with me here, but I just got a new journal that I put inside of the Start Journal box. So it's so nice because it's completely white. And it's bound, so it's a hardcover. And I just started using it, and one of the things that I really love about it is that it lays down flat.
Oh, that is neat.
The way that it's stitched in there with the signatures of the
so
paper
you could create a piece across both sides.
So I always liked a spiral, kind of journal. Where I could write in it and I could flip it around. And so that was a lot of the journals that I started with, and started actually putting journals from the Dollar Tree in my boxes to start out with. And they have the spiral in there. And I've put different kinds of journals in the box every month. But this one I think is going to be my favorite. It has 15 pages in it. So it's manageable, it's small, I could travel with it. But that's exactly what I started doing, is double page spreads.
Oh, very nice.
This was one that I showed on my live video today. Where I got this idea was from a calendar page. And then that was my way of practicing, was to take the idea that was on the calendar page and then, you know, kind of try it out, but then like I added the little spirals and kind of like made it my own. Well, this calendar that I have has 12 images, and all of them are kind of like these inspirational words and sayings. So then today on my live video, I did this one.
Oh, nice. I love
And
the colors. Just, yeah, very pretty.
yeah, all of the pages in this particular calendar all are kind of related. So on my videos, I tend to talk a lot since I was an art teacher, a high school art teacher. I have that background of color theory and art elements and principles. And so I'm not just showing what it is that I'm doing, I'm actually explaining the concept so that they're learning. So I talked about the colors today and the contrast. I'm always talking about contrast and just how to, you know, balance out things and doing things in threes, because those are, you know, they balance out better and so I talk about a lot of those things on my videos.
Yeah,
So
I think those are really good points. You have a flair for design. I love to create abstract paintings. You know, I have a handful of collectors that do collect my abstracts, but mostly it's like the landscape type of paintings. But I love abstracts because I think you and I are connected that way. Like, you know, design wise, like you can be like, oh, this color splash should go over here, and then kind of even it out with this side and like the threes, or, you know, odd numbers I found like really are more visually enticing. And that's
they're
so
just
cool
more interesting than just everything all balanced. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you brought up about that you have a background in art and you used to be a teacher. Now, some artists have messaged me in the past and said, you know, I don't have an art degree, or I've never been to classes and things like that. What would you say to someone like that?
So when I first started college, I went into the business college and I was going to go into accounting. And when I switched to art education, because I never really wanted to be an artist as much as I wanted to teach other people how to be creative and how to, but I think that I always knew that I had like an intuitive sense of colors and things like that. So when I did start art education and I had to take the design classes and the painting classes and the classes with the fine artists, the ones who were taking the fine art and getting the fine art degree, I realized that I already kind of intuitively had a lot of those ways of putting colors together and things like that that I didn't really need to be taught. So I don't think that you have to have an education, you know, I think that there are some things that we're just natural to us as creative people.
Yeah.
And I think the main difference of me wanting to teach people is I was teaching at the high school where I was, and there were four art teachers, and one art teacher was going to go on maternity leave. And so they got a person to come in who was a substitute teacher in the building, and he had an English degree, but he was an artist, like he was a fine artist. So he sold his artwork. And so they had him come in and teach. And I think it was on day 2, he came over to my room and he's like, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you teach other people to be creative. So there was a disconnect for him that he could teach English, but he didn't know how to teach being an artist. He didn't know how to teach being creative. So I think the only difference is in being a teacher is I can break down things, I can explain things, I can give names to things and, you know, and explain what it is that I'm doing from the point of being a creative person.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think that you need to have a degree. I think you can learn, you know, and the masters, the art masters, you know, they learned from doing and from learning and being an apprentice underneath artists. And so you can definitely learn new things. I don't think, you know, just because we might be born with, you know, more intuitive ways of already knowing things, that doesn't mean that you can't learn.
Right. Right.
new things. Yeah.
Yes,
New
I mean, I
techniques.
agree that it's a learnable, teachable skill. If it's something that
And-
inspires you, you most certainly could pick it up, and don't
yeah.
give up the first time. Dabble in different mediums, see what you like, different
Right.
subjects, things like
Oh
that.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
all about like exploring and being and just having fun and playing and just figuring out things. And because then I talked today about you build up this art vocabulary of, oh, now I remember if I mix blue and orange together, it was by accident the first time, but now I know that it makes this beautiful brown color,
yeah,
that's richer than if I just put brown out of the tube, or,
good to
you
know. I'm
build
going to
up.
write that down, Jamie.
Yeah.
I always buy my brown because, I know we can mix it. I mix a lot of colors just from primaries, but
Yeah.
brown, I don't know. For some reason, I have an issue with that. So blue
Usually
and orange.
it's the complementary colors that you add together that make a neutral. So if you add blue and orange, it tends to make more of a brown. But a lot of times if you mix yellow and purple, it makes a little bit more of a grayish brown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it like depends on, yeah.
Right. Right.
And then red and green mixed together, I don't know that I like that color brown as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So you got to just play around and see what you
You
like,
do.
right? Just try it
Yeah.
out. Don't be afraid. It's only paint, right? It's not going to hurt anything. Just mix it up and see what you can come up with. Right?
And I think that that's one of the other things about the art journal that I've been able to teach in the membership is that it's paper and you just try out something. If you don't like
Right.
it, then you can rip it apart and make it into a collage on another
Right.
page.
Right.
It's pretty inexpensive materials to be able to use to just play around and have
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's when you're not under pressure and you can just have the okay. It's good that you give them the okay to just be free and just try it,
I have to remind them a lot.
Yeah. And I think all of us have gone through this as artists. Like we work on a piece, then we look at it, we're like, I don't really think I like it. So, you could paint over it if you want to. But I've actually sold numerous pieces that I personally didn't like that I was going to paint over, but I'm like, I'm just going to put them in my collectors group, which I show you how to do. If you someday become a creative warrior in my membership, I walk you through the steps to set up a collectors group. And I show you how I gained these collectors so that you can also work online. But everybody likes different styles and different types of things. And, some things may sell, some things may not sell. But I remember, certain pieces thinking I'm going to paint over these. But before I do spend the time to do that, I'm just going to take a picture, put it in my group, and then someone's like, yes, I want to buy that. It's like, okay, sure, great.
Yeah, especially people who don't create, who aren't they appreciate more so sometimes than we do the work that goes into it. And
right
everybody has their own taste of colors and all of that.
Yeah. Jamie, I'm like, you said something a little while ago that I was jealous of, that you wanted to go into accounting. So you're a numbers person, aren't you?
No, you know what I realized? I thought that I was, because I liked taking the math classes in high school. And what I realized that I liked was not the math, was not the numbers. I actually did better in geometry than I did algebra, right? Because algebra is a little bit more logical, geometries. What I realized is in the math class, we had a weekly math challenge or contest, or I forget, math puzzle of the week or something she called it. And what I liked was the creative problem solving.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't have a counselor in school that helped guide me to realize that that's what it was. It wasn't accounting, it was the creative problem solving.
Nice.
And so once I got into college and realized that, it doesn't fit it well. And I didn't do well in the higher level math classes because they were too logical. They were too, there was like a right and wrong. That wasn't the part that I realized. So I realized I like the creative problem solving, more. And that's part of the process that you go through when you're creating is that constant asking yourself questions and, okay, well, what happens if I do this? And what happens, And it's this process of creative problem solving.
Yes. In
Yeah, so
business, we need
really
to always be on the lookout for that too. You know, when something doesn't go right in our business, it's like we also need to use that same kind of concept and way of thinking. How can I pivot this? How can I do something differently? You know?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's good to know. Because I was going to say, yeah, I'm jealous if you're a numbers person and an artist, because how lucky would that be?
Now, I do think being a teacher and, you know, having taught for that long, I have maybe like some more, I wouldn't even say organizational, but I mean, I have ways of organizing things.
Nice.
You know, that may be a more creative. So I kind of think it was like along this line, right? You have like logical thinkers, the left brain thinkers, and you have these like right brain, really creative thinkers.
Yeah.
And I'm not in the middle, but I'm not all the way over to that right hand side of, you know, of the
so you have a few
like
skills that we could learn from for sure. Can you give us an organization tip? Like, do you have any that come to mind? Because I get a lot of that from my people. They're like, oh gosh, our organization is just, and I'll be honest, I'm not the best organizer on the planet. So as far as like either working online with your business or inside of your home studio, do you have like a tip for us?
I was actually just, I have a course called Create that I'm teaching right now. And today was about a morning routine, an AM routine. And I was teaching a little bit about the process that I use in the morning is a way to organize my day. And basically I do threes. And that's how I organize, even like I said, you know, in the little dots that I did in my, you know, in threes. And I pull out 3 things. And if I can get those 3 things done during the day, then I know that I've accomplished something. I've moved forward. So if I can break things down to something that feels manageable, that I can do every single day, those little things add up.
Totally.
So before I even started my business, the idea of growing a following, of making connections, you know, I started that several years ago. Whether I thought of it as, you know, I'm going to have a business one day, or it was just building up that, but I didn't set out to grow, you know, 600 people in 1 year. I just did it little by little, day by day, and it just builds up.
So you've proven that the little bite-sized, easier steps actually can turn into something totally amazing, right?
You build up momentum, right? If you tried to do everything all at one time, and then it feels too hard, it feels overwhelming, it doesn't go the way then you quit, and then you go for this time period where you don't do anything, and then again you feel behind and you feel overwhelmed, so you try to do something like, and it just doesn't work that way. And what I found is even growing a following, if I just kept at it day by day with, you know, the little bite-sized piece, all of a sudden there were days when I would, you know, add multiple people, you know, much bigger follow. And so I've been able to grow my following quicker just by doing those, you know, those daily little manageable things.
Perfect. I got a question for you. Were you pretty techie in the beginning when you decided to work online, or did you have to grow those skills as well and like learn tech things?
You know, I think that it's a couple of different things. I definitely had to grow. I mean, I had no idea what a landing page, and, you know, just I still don't have a website because that seems a little bit out of.
Listen up, people. If Jamie's doing what she can do with no website, so can you. I mean, that's great.
Oh, I tell people that all the time. When I first started, I had a PayPal link and I had a Facebook event. Basically, I didn't have any emails. So I started very simple, and I still keep things simple. And I figure if I can make things work that way, I'll eventually. But I think the other thing is I decided, I determined, I resolved, I committed, whatever the word is that I want, that I'm not going back to a job that doesn't align with who I am.
Right. Good for you.
So whatever it takes for me to be able to commit to that, then that's just what I do. So I think I just told my course this last week that sometimes I think the reason we're not motivated, the reason that we aren't moving forward, is we don't have a big enough dream or something that pulls us to do
Big enough
that.
why. You got to have a why. Why, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have something way out there that seems like you don't know how you're going to accomplish it, but you have that determination to get to that point, not really in a time period, but that determination. And part of that is my why of I'm not doing that. I'm not going back to.
That's a great why. Yeah.
So anything that I needed to do. And the other thing is, I read a book when I first started my business, and I read every day, and I had been reading the professional development book. That's why I've got a bookcase full of books here. I read the book by Marie Forleo that is called Everything is Figure Outable.
I've heard of that one. I haven't read that one yet, but I've heard of that one.
That just kind of became my motto when I first started. You know, okay, I didn't figure it out, but it's figure outable. I'll figure it out. I'll ask somebody for help. I'll look up a YouTube video. I'll, you know, whatever. Everything is figure outable instead of I can't do tech.
Right.
Because if you tell your brain that, if you say it out loud and your ears hear it, your brain will actually look for ways to prove that to you.
Yeah. Great
and
point.
Everything is filtered through then I can't do tech.
Right.
Yeah. So I just kind of adopted that everything is figure outable, and
perfect. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to use that too. I learn something new every day. Look, I've been chicken scratching everything Jamie's saying because, hey, we always learn something new every day. That's how I like to look at life anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've always thought of myself as, just always wanting to learn. I think as a teacher, that was always, in order for me to feel like I was one step ahead, I felt like I needed to keep learning. And I mean, that's partly why they make continuing education a requirement, because you need to keep learning in order to be relevant, in order to teach new generations, you know.
Exactly. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I had a great time hanging out with you, Jamie. This has been awesome. I really would love for you to tell everyone once again where they can find you, what you do, where they can find you if they would love to go and Facebook stalk you or get on your wait list or whatever it is that they would like to do. Oh, and I want to do a little plug for Jamie. I am in her free group, and she does some amazing things in there, just like what she was showing with the couple of examples in her art journal. I really like how you do that, Jamie. You do kind of have a great way of teaching where you show like a picture of something, but then you teach them how to make it their own, because we are not supposed to go and steal someone's piece of art, no matter where it is. It's like, you know, so I love that about you.
Inspiration to then explore and figure out our own.
Yes. So anyway, go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you.
Sure. Since I don't have a web page, my Facebook page is basically where the first place that you can go find me. So that's Creations of Studio 39. The free group that you were talking about is the one that when I kind of branched off to mainly do art journaling, I set up a free group called Art Journaling 101. And I do live videos and things specifically in that group. And I do have a workshop that I'm going to be coming up doing in the middle of April. And I'll do workshops and things like that in there. And that's really the place where I will do specific art journaling. I did art journaling out on my page today, but it was really to direct people over to that free group. And then I mentioned I just started kind of coaching creative business owners. So I do have a free group now for creative business owner basics is what I call that one. So we call it CBOB. It was kind of the acronym for that. So I have that one over there. So I have some things going on over there and getting the creative people over there and just a support group really for those people that want to learn new things, but also want to support each other and learn from each other. And So I have that set up really as a group then, that if the next place they want to land is my create course, then the next time I offer that, then I'll be talking about that inside that group. So those are the main places to find me.
Awesome. So your Facebook business page and your groups that you have going on, and you
Right.
have a lot going on. You're amazing. You're Wonder Woman.
I've learned some pretty, some techniques that I teach inside my create course that I've learned to be more efficient at doing. So,
Awesome. Well, I think that those are things that everybody could definitely benefit from.
they really
So,
are.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this time that I spent here with you and Jamie. So I hope you have a wonderful night, depending on when you, or day, depending on when you're seeing this video. Creative Warriors, my membership where I teach you how to market and sell your paintings and, you know, your creative drawings, paintings, whatever you love to do, may be open, may not be open, but there should be a link in or around here. If you don't find it, go ahead and ask and I will come back and give it to you. So everybody say bye to Jamie. If you got a question for her,
Thank you
can
so
ask
much,
her.
Amy.
Yeah, you are welcome, Jamie. I'm sure we'll do this again sometime in the future.
Thank you.